4C submitted a serious pro gamer replay. I'm gonna try hard. This was a best of 3 at StayAtHomeStory Cup. We're gonna put it as best of 1 because that's all we're casting. In the bottom right, as the blue Terran, it is Cure. In the top left, as the red Terran, it is INnoVation. Playing a good old-fashioned VT. Hello, Bouncing Cow. When professionally casting, do you prefer to sit or stand? Definitely stand. I always stand. It's actually just better. It's like a fact that it's better. Personal preference is still, you know, a big thing, though. So if someone sits, not a terrible thing. But I always stand, and I think I might annoy some of my co-casters with that. I don't know. Because I would sit as much as they would sit, or stand as much as they would sit, and then I started taking control like an independent woman. And I was like, you know what? I really like standing more. So even if they didn't stand, I would stand. And I feel like in the past couple of events, I'd like, you know, sit down just to check notes and prepare mentally and all that. And then as soon as they'd be like, okay, you're going live soon, I'd stand up. And then my co-caster would also stand up after like 30 seconds. And I'd be like, did they feel peer pressured into standing? That wasn't my intention. The only one who hasn't done that actually was the Muslim. I stood up for the Maru Rogue series, and the Muslim actually was just like, yeah, I'm gonna sit. Everyone else is so easily swayed. Your lungs and your throat better. It also really helps to be more animated. You know, like a voice actor. A good voice actor is as animated as an actor would. And it's really difficult to do that when you're sitting as well. You can be a lot more animated when you're standing. I also found it a lot easier to, like, it feels more like a conversation between... I noticed this especially because we would stand. The CSGO commentators would mostly sit. Understandable. Both alphas. Sit next to a standing person. Yeah, the Muslim had to like look up at me, but I also have to look down at him, so I can see why someone would want to match the other person, but I'm not gonna force someone to stand or sit. INnoVation's daddy lost his Reaper. Yeah, speaking of this game, not much has gone on, both respecting each other here. It looks like INnoVation, more so than Cure, wanted to do something with the push, has a later command center. But Cure, with the proper placement of his units, already kind of cut that power in half. Even if INnoVation were to do one of those Hellion Reaper pushes, which he isn't really doing. He did get 2 Reapers and a Hellion, but not much more than that, right? Losing 1 Reaper instantly helps the defending player, so... It does suck for INnoVation. He is behind. But since this game will not end before the 6-minute mark, it's guaranteed he'll have some way to make up for the disadvantage of 4 workers. Both going Cyclone Raven. And just continuing to scout each other. I mean, some nice things to scout at this stage. Realistic things to scout anyways, like how fast they take this natural gas geyser. Most TVT builds, I want to say, take it very fast. Because most TVT builds also revolve around that Raven. And if you're producing Ravens and tanks, you can't really do that on only 2 gases. So there are other follow-ups without that 3rd gas. Yeah, it's not really the best scout. You can notice that INnoVation actually doesn't go for the saturation of it. So that's got to affect it somewhere, right? And in this case, he went for a 3rd CC, a bit faster. He also didn't go for a 2nd Raven, which is usually the common thing to do, and sometimes even 3 Ravens. So that's the swap off there between the 2 builds. Cure also now getting his 3rd CC, but you know, a little bit later to his barracks as well, a little bit later to his stim. Very tiny things that probably won't matter as much as how they engage each other, which will be happening in probably like 2 minutes. I have one of those fancy neurodesks. It's literally what I just did. I jump out of my chair. That's passion. I think standing really helps me. But I think other casters might say that they don't really care either way. Upgrades also later for Cure. So he still has a bit of that worker lead. He even still has a bit of an army lead. You can see the sacrifices that INnoVation made to try and make up for that. Tank, Raven, follow up with Viking push. Something that was done like every TVT about a year ago. Seriously, every TVT. And that's when we... Anyways. But nowadays, you don't see it as much. It's not the determining factor of whether someone wins or loses a game. And in this case, even though Kira got 2 Ravens... Did he cancel one? Yeah, I guess he canceled the other one. Even though he was going to go into 2 Ravens, he didn't. He wouldn't do anything with them. So, I'm pretty sure he canceled that one. But I think it was like halfway done. And Ravens are slow building units, so... That was definitely a tough decision to make, because the second Raven can be very helpful, but certainly the longer the game goes, the more double Raven doesn't work just because you can't micro it. It's all about that one Raven and that one anti-armor missile, basically. So yeah, why really go for a second Raven? Combat shields for both players, actually much faster for INnoVation, and this is a time where you could push out. That's exactly what's happening, so this could be a really big problem. Akira has a sensor tower, he has Marine scouting. I mean, these guys, both... Titans of TVT. INnoVation, certainly more recognizable as a name. Matchup? Not sure. But both of them should know the pacing of this game and not really just die abruptly. I don't know, these Marines taking a terrible fight. Again, partially because they don't have combat shields. Ah! Oh my god. Thank you, Operator, for the 100 bits. Double interference matrix, but the Raven does go down. Oh, actually, that was Cure's Raven. Cure's Raven goes down. The INnoVation's Raven still holding strong. But both of them should know the pacing of this game and not really just die abruptly. I don't know, these Marines taking a terrible fight. Again, partially because they don't have combat shields. Ah! Oh my god. Thank you, Operator, for the 100 bits. Double interference matrix, but the Raven does go down. Oh, actually, that was Cure's Raven. Cure's Raven goes down. The INnoVation's Raven still holding strong. He's going to be able to evacuate. Now, he doesn't win with that push. The concave from Cure, which is a little bit too good. And actually, all of his tanks survived, which is not something that's really supposed to happen. But INnoVation did save his Raven. That's the good news. He also has a drop in the main base. Note all of the production ready to go. 5 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport. But it can be scary after an engagement like that. Did they come out of that with a little bit more army supply? If they did, well, that dropped his body enough time anyways. It does die to 2 Vikings that popped at a pretty opportune time. I guess more so than INnoVation being protected from a potential deadly counterattack, he protected his 4th base on location. That's actually really nasty. INnoVation getting ahead in a big way with that. Faster 4th and it's on location, forget about it. That's a big doom drop right there, though. Extra nasty with the Raven. Again, anti-armor missile. Very important in this matchup. Or even just interference matrix. It's very difficult to... Thank you for the 100 bits again. That's actually amazing. Oh, I wish it timed out just a little bit better. Oh, the main base drop. The Raven does get taken out without doing anything too interesting. Just an auto turret, actually, although that could have distracted a couple of Vikings with its high priority. The Raven does die. The drop has successfully gotten into the main base, and while it will be cleaned up, there's a big concave here for Cure, although he is down in upgrades. The concave is just too good. There's more army on Cure's side as well. His entire army came back to defend against this, while INnoVation obviously, had a lot of his army back at home, the reinforcements. It was cleaned up, but well done on that timing. That was so close to being perfect. It was still amazing. But yeah, 2-2 wasn't done. It didn't end up mattering. Cure does take care of that. The nice thing about the Simulacrum, there we go, about Simulacrum is that while its base is huge, it's got a big booty. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Or do it, actually. What do I know? I'm not INnoVation. What the hell? And it provides a lot of room to it. It's when everything is closed in and you're behind your own barracks and forced to lift. That's when things get fucking awkward. Oh, but that drop lasted so much longer than I thought it would. I think most of it was because he was trying to grab this 4th base. Here, though, does save it. In the nick of time, really. Those Marines, another 2 seconds and that thing goes down. The double drop at this point is very well defended. Oh my god, it's like all his tanks. But yeah, he doesn't have anything over here. So, still not all of INnoVation's army. Double drops now in the natural. We're going to find some SCVs, and he's got a lot of reinforcements back home. But he still has that 3-3 advantage. He is finding all of these undefended places. Like, here, almost maxed out as well. Could defend this. They could be meeting in the middle and stalemating, right? But INnoVation so far, getting the better end of just the map presence, of moving around the map. His tank count is a lot lower, though. With only 2 tanks he can't stop the concave of Marines, but 11 SCVs have gone down, and oh no, the upgrades. The armory would stop his +2, but it doesn't seem to be a priority. Actually, very interesting. I didn't notice this. INnoVation went for +1 armor, and then +2 immediately as well. Either that's something he's experimenting with, or he planned ahead that he was going to transition quickly into starports, which is the proper thing to do, but it's more complicated than that, and I'll get into it in a second. The main base is being dropped with a very nasty drop. Tanks, Marines, Medivacs, and Vikings. Gonna be tough to defend against this, even with lifting all your barracks, and this suddenly makes it more complicated. The last time, the barracks weren't even here to be lifted, really. But as they lift, the Vikings take them down. Kieran gonna lose a lot of production. Also, his 3rd CC under fire. The SCVs are pulled away, but the 3rd CC actually is probably gonna die here. Kieran, he's making enough minerals to actually replace that, but he needs to do some counter damage. He finds the 5th base of INnoVation. Is gonna be able to cancel that, but the 4th base of Planetary is gonna take a little bit more time. Also, INnoVation has been building a Raven count, so he can try an interference matrix to save his Planetary, but nope, that's not happening. That goes down in about 5 seconds. An almost pseudo base trade is happening, but the Marines repelled by Kier's Marines. Just too many numbers here for Kira, even though he's down in upgrades. And for another 30 seconds as well, at least he grabbed technically 2 bases of his opponent. They've both been forced back down to 3 bases. INnoVation's about to lose his upgrade lead, but he still has that air superiority lead. Now, I don't know if actually going for this many Ravens is the good call, but it's INnoVation, so I'm going to give him the credit and say that it is. Whatever he does is good, guys. But you usually don't want that many Ravens immediately. Usually it's more about a Viking Liberator war, and then maybe like a stupid kind of Raven to Raven war as well, but usually not this quickly. And for a lot of the reasons I talked about earlier, talking about that 1 versus 2 Raven difference, that we're gonna have a main engagement. Oh, here, I didn't know about that one. That is a deadly choke, even if you did have enough Marines to do that. This drop, by the way, still not cleaned up. It's actually just portions of INnoVation supply that isn't doing anything. It's just not helping to defend. Weirdly enough, it's not doing anything anymore. Alright, he's going to take Kier's attention away as he does break it, because you can't just leave that there, of course. That's not a good idea. He does break it. Leaves a squadron of Marines behind as well. Nope, that's not going to happen. Sorry, INnoVation. But yeah, the plenty of Ravens things can be a little bit tricky to use. It's certainly the power of so many Ravens is how many, the amount of tanks you would have in a 15-minute game, which usually you wouldn't. But he actually could have, like, 8 interference matrix. That's not just tanks in this army. There was a lot of Marines. So his INnoVation interference matrix, there's not a whole lot to tear down the tanks. This tank actually firing on the Marines. Very awkward engagement because of all the production facilities. But the interference matrix about to wear off, and oh my god, stop here with the main base. This is actually taking a lot of the attention away from INnoVation. Oh, 4 Marines! Oh my god, these 4 Marines are so bally. They just took out the sensor tower. The sensor tower gone is slowly losing control of this game. And that actually fits very well into what I was going to talk about before the action started. In that when you transfer over to starports, whether you're Ravens, Vikings, Liberators, any combination of those 3, you are slowing down your army. You're making it a more positional army as well. And if Cure could just find the weak points of INnoVation's defense, can just kind of throw bodies at him since he's making more Marines, then you can actually take advantage of that. So while, yeah, again, theoretically, going into the starports is the killer move, because it's so hard to kill a Terran otherwise with how volatile the trades can be, it's not the kill move. It's not like going against, Brood Lords against a Protoss that has no anti-air. And Kier took advantage of all the weaknesses I was just talking about, which is so funny too, because INnoVation really did have the control over the game, the pacing, the momentum, the map control, and it all just suddenly flipped. The Ravens could still be the key to victory, and he still thinks so. He's been building them this entire time, but he also needs to make sure he still has enough tanks, and he is producing 2 at a time. He also just mostly needs to make sure that he has enough army protecting all these bases. On the back to take care of this. It's so funny because INnoVation did go for the armor, the plating of the tanks, more so the plating of the Ravens, but like the plating of the tanks has actually been a factor in some of these engagements, I guess. It's just that attack is so useful because attack also influences the splash, right? Most units have just one attack, but the splash has like a radius, and then a radius around it, and then a radius around it. So attack is usually like the best thing to get. But INnoVation spanning 2 screens here, but the tanks in the low ground, or in the south rather, not protected enough or taken care of. INnoVation closing that supply gap that existed not just 2 minutes ago, also getting all of his bases back up. He too lifted his main command center, but it's been more reliably mining, but Cure is also taking more bases to the top right and bottom. This game has kind of gone back into a normal game. Scan on top of this, he's an orbital, so Cure knows that he doesn't necessarily need to go after it right now. A couple of Marines will be able to at least stop the mining. A lot of tanks. There is a depth to that tank line, so he does not go for it, but the planetary might just be free anyways. Not a whole lot that Cure can do about that. He tried to drop the 5th base, but again, there were a couple of units there, so he goes into the main just to do a little bit of harassment here and there. Tanks once again take out INnoVation's army, but he did lose that planetary, unfortunately. Couldn't save that in time, but he's got a base at the top right, a planetary, a base at the bottom left, an orbital, but an orbital that's not being harassed. Another command center as well for Cure. What is the resources lost here? So fucking close. Are you kidding me right now? 50 resource difference? Okay, well, you just... Okay, well. It was a 50 resource difference? Still, 100 is like, oh my god. What an insane game. Interference matrix going down, taking out about half of the tank line. That might just be enough for the Marines of INnoVation to push through, and it looks like it will be, just barely. Marines coming in from Cure to try and help out, to try and save the tanks, but not going to happen. Too many Marines left over. The last tank falls. Also, the orbital harassed by INnoVation. He knew that was up there. He's going to be able to not take it down, actually. The orbital is saved with a mass repair. 6 SCVs lost, but Cure was ahead in SCVs anyway. Planetary is now going to be under fire. Remember that Cure is the one with an extra command center here, so he could afford to lose maybe 1 base. But he's now started to lose the army supply. That was a nasty loss for him right there with the interference matrix, and that is the power of the Ravens. The other power of the Ravens is that they don't cost very many minerals, and we all know that Terrans usually have a gas bank as a problem. In this case, INnoVation might have had to take in more gases to actually get Ravens. He's also using them to great effect. Planetary goes down, but the orbital of INnoVation could also fall. Planetary is going to be, well, should be stalled out on the mining. INnoVation going to now move to the very south. He knows it's the planetary. Well, maybe he's figuring it's a planetary. Now going to try and tackle that, even though he absolutely could have. He could have got another base right there, but he's actually pushing on the left side as well. Cure going to disengage, although I'm not sure that he has to. There's no medevacs to heal INnoVation's army here. He realizes that. Pushes back a little bit, but not enough. Orbital goes down over here. Still so many Ravens, and INnoVation, with this many Ravens, and having culled Cure's tanks down to like a handful, now tanks are almost useless. Tanks like are not going to get their time to shine. And that could be a very obnoxious tipping point when you're up against a Raven player. Initially you're like, nah, it's not going to be enough. Like, I'm fine. And then suddenly it is enough. And you're like, well, okay, why did I even build tanks? Big concave from Cure, but now his army supply is just so damn low. He even desperately pulled the SCVs into a meat grinder of Marines, and that's not going to work out very well. INnoVation finally taking the victory here. And definitely one of the best TVTs ever. That was pretty sick. GG! Yes, everyone congratulate Borsty on beating Cure. Yeah, that was insane timing. Well done, me. Resource loss difference was so good. Alright, next up, we have finished with a 6 surround. Oh, he faces Air Girl. Oh my god. In before comeback of ex-pro gamer Axlav. He's up into the 4700s now, 4800s. Gasp. In the bottom left as the red Protoss, it is Renish, aka Axlav. In the top right as the blue Zerg.